Hare Krishna devotees. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam Stuti series. Continuing with Rudra Gita, today's shloka is shloka number 53, chapter 24, canto 4. Etadrupam anudhyeyam
एतद्रूपमनुध्येयम्
atma shuddhim abhipsatam
आत्मशुद्धिमभीप्सताम्
yad bhakti yogo bhayadaha
यद्भक्तियोगो भयदः
svadharmam anutishtatam.
स्वधर्ममनुतिष्ठताम्।
Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Etat, this,
This
rupam,
रूपम्
form, anudhyeyam,
अनुध्येयम्
must be meditated upon.
must be meditated upon.
Atma,
Atma,
self.
self.
Shuddhim,
Shuddhim,
purification.
purification.
Abhipsatam,
Abhipsatam,
of those who are desiring so.
of those who are desiring so.
Yat, that which. Bhakti yogaha,
Bhakti yogaha,
the devotional service.
the devotional service.
Abhaya daha, factual fearlessness.
Factual fearlessness.
Swadharmam,
one's
own occupational duties.
occupational duties.
Anutishtatam,
executing.
Translation. My dear Lord,
those
who desire to purify their existence must always engage in meditation upon your lotus feet, as described above. Those who are serious about executing their occupational duties and who want freedom from fear must take to this process of Bhakti Yoga. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that the transcendental name, form, pastimes, and entourage of the Lord cannot be appreciated by the blunt material senses. Therefore, one has to engage himself in devotional service so that the senses may be purified and one can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, however, it is indicated that those who are constantly engaged in meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord are certainly purified of the material contamination of the senses and thus are able to see the Supreme Lord face to face. So Prabhupada is writing that simply by meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, you become purified of all of the contamination of all of your senses. Furthermore, Prabhupada is saying, you then get to see the Lord face to face. The word meditation is very popular in this age amongst the common people, but they do not know the actual meaning of meditation. However, from Vedic literature, we learn that the yogis are always absorbed in meditation upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Dhyana vasthita gatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. Prabhupada is quoting a shloka from the 12th canto, the last chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the very first shloka of the last chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sutta Goswami is speaking. This is the real business of the yogis, to think of the lotus feet of the Lord. That is, dhyana vasthita tad gatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. They are always meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Shiva therefore advises that one who is actually serious about purification must engage himself in this type of meditation or in the mystic yoga system, which will help him not only to see the Lord within constantly, but to see him face to face and become his associate in Vaikuntha Loka or Goloka Vrindavana. So Dhruva Maharaj, when he was meditating in the forest, at first he saw the Lord within him, because that is what he was instructed to do by his guru, Narada Muni, who told him, recite this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and meditate on the Lord's four-handed form within you. And then when he opens his eyes, he sees that same Lord that he had seen within himself, and he was experiencing such bliss. That same Lord was right in front of him. So if you are a sincere sadhaka, the Lord will give you darshan. But you have to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. And Prabhupada here is saying, people misunderstand the meaning of the word meditation. They just think it is some asanas, some twisting and turning of the body. But that is not it. You're supposed to go deeper beyond that. You reach that stage of dhyana, dharana, and finally samadhi. Of course, samadhi for us is very different. Samadhi for others may be just trying to merge with the Lord. The word swadharmam, as in swadharmam anutishtatam, indicates that the system of varnashrama, which indicates the occupational duties of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and which is the perfect institution for humanity, must be supported by Bhakti Yoga if one at all wants security in life. So essentially, Prabhupada is saying there is Varnashrama and then there is Daivi Varnashrama. So all Varnas and all ashramas should keep Krishna at the center and perform Bhakti Yoga to Krishna. And if you do that, then everything will be sublime in life. You don't have to struggle for anything. Generally, people think that simply by executing the occupational duties of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, or the duty of a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi, one becomes fearless or securely attains liberation. But factually, unless all these occupational duties are accompanied by Bhakti Yoga, one cannot become fearless. So, Prabhupada is saying the notion that simply by performing your duties and responsibilities as per the Varna and Ashrama that you occupy, that itself is not going to give you fearlessness. Fearlessness comes from taking complete shelter of Krishna. And taking complete shelter of Krishna means you have to learn to perform Bhakti Yoga. Without that, there is no concept of fearlessness. In Bhagavad Gita, there are descriptions of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, etc. But unless one comes to the point of Bhakti Yoga, these other yogas cannot help one attain the highest perfection of life. In other words, Bhakti Yoga is the only means for liberation. We find this conclusion also in Chaitanya Charitamrita in a discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Raya regarding a human being's liberation from this material world. In that discussion, Ramananda Raya referred to the execution of Varnashrama Dharma, and Lord Chaitanya indicated that the Varnashrama Dharma was simply external, iho bahya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for everything that questions that he was asking, and Ramananda Raya was providing answers, Mahaprabhu was encouraging him, no, go more deeper, you're focusing on the externals. It starts there, but it has to go deeper and deeper. Lord Chaitanya wanted to impress upon Ramananda Raya that simply by executing the duties of Varnashrama Dharma, one is not guaranteed liberation. Finally, Ramananda Raya referred to the process of Bhakti Yoga, sthane sthitah shrutigatam tanuvang manobhi. Regardless of one's condition of life, if he practices Bhakti Yoga, which begins with hearing, shrutigatam, the transcendental messages of the Lord through the mouths of devotees, he gradually conquers the unconquerable God. God cannot be conquered except through bhakti, except through love. How can you tie somebody up? Like Bilva Mangala Thakur says, My dear Lord, in one of the verses of the Chaurashtakam, It's a very beautiful verse. Actually, all 8 verses are so beautiful. That one particular verse that really attracts me is he's telling the Lord, you can cut us loose of our material desires. You can cut the noose of Yamaraj. You can cut off all of this. But the one thing you're incapable of cutting, he's telling the Lord, you don't have the capacity to cut off the knots of the rope of bhakti. That is one thing the Lord does not know how to untie. Everything else he is very expert at untying, our attachment to material things, our attachment to the concept of liberation, our attachment to subtle things like pride, anger, etc. That the Lord is fully capable of cutting all of these knots that is holding us back in this material world. But the one thing that he cannot cut is the rope of devotion that the devotee ties him up with. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying here, he gradually conquers the unconquerable God. God is known to be unconquerable, but one who submissively hears the words of a self-realized soul conquers the unconquerable. So submissive hearing is important. The conclusion is that if one is serious about liberation, he not only should execute the occupational duties of varnashrama dharma, but should also engage in bhakti yoga by beginning hearing from a realized soul. This process will help the devotee conquer the unconquerable Supreme Personality of Godhead and become his associate after giving up the material body. Yesterday, we were talking about fearlessness. And why do we actually fear? Here, Lord Shiva is saying, if anybody desires to purify their existence, then the first step is to meditate upon your lotus feet, my dear Lord. And furthermore, if one wants to become completely fearless, then one must take to the path of Bhakti Yoga, Lord Shiva is saying. Our founder Acharya's name is Abhaya Charan. Abhaya means fearless. Charan means he's taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. How can you be fearless unless you take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord? So by practicing devotional service, it removes all kinds of fear within you. At some point, you will get to see the Lord face to face. Usually, if you are given a great deal of power, and if that power comes to you very suddenly, you really don't know how to deal with it. You can't handle it. Therefore, you need some amount of knowledge and training to handle that kind of power. Similarly, in the spiritual realm as well, you need spiritual knowledge to understand and be able to discriminate between your progress on the path of sadhana versus your thinking that you are the actual soul doer. Right? So one needs spiritual knowledge also to be able to discriminate. So Prabhupada is referencing the very last chapter of the last canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was just quickly reading that this morning. You can see that in this last chapter, which is titled The Glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the entire Bhagavatam begins by talking about cheating religion and how we should avoid it, and concludes with the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Here, Sri Suta Goswami is describing the various Puranas, the number of verses that they contain, and concludes with how Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost. He talks about how Srimad Bhagavatam must be given in charity, the glories of gifting the Srimad Bhagavatam to somebody, and the glories of chanting and hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So through these Stuti series, that's what we're trying to do every morning. It is a gift that we are giving ourselves by chanting these wonderful shlokas of the Mahajans. We are hearing it. And in this way, we're getting absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the words Amala Purana actually comes in the last chapter of the 12th canto. Therefore, Bhagavatam is described as that Purana which is eternal. It will never be tainted by time or circumstances, because it is about the Supreme Lord Himself. Yeah. So, Prabhupada also uses this example. I think Lord Shiva also uses this example that like this Vedas are like the shining knowledge. And when you turn on the light in a room that is really dark, then you can distinguish between objects. Your discriminatory power is good when there is light. Similarly, this Srimad Bhagavatam acts as that light. The Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, they act as that switch that turns on the light in your brains, in your consciousness, revealing to you what is important and what is not important, revealing to you what you should do and what you should not do. So even at the minutest level, just reading and being absorbed in the scriptures that talk about Krishna and his pastimes, that discuss Krishna's instructions to us as he gives us in the Bhagavad Gita, even the minutest of defects that you have will be removed. So the Bhagavatam has the power to eradicate all anarthas within us. All impurities are eradicated. Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he says, nothing is impossible for Krishna, except for one thing. Krishna can do anything, but the one thing Krishna cannot do is, he does not know how to be unkind to his own children. He does not know how to do that. Anything else is possible for the Lord, but it's impossible for the Lord to be unkind. Yesterday we were discussing after the class how merciful the Lord is, how compassionate the Lord is. We get angry with him, we get disappointed with him. We think he should cooperate with us rather than we cooperating with him. We think our desires should become his desire rather than his desire becoming our desire. So Krishna does not know how to be unkind. How can a parent be unkind to their own children? The parents are always keen to protect their children. Yeah. So Krishna is always keen to protect us. So Lord Shiva is saying in this shloka, some amount of seriousness is needed about executing Daivi Varnashrama, keeping the Lord at the center, practicing Bhakti Yoga by beginning your meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is the only thing that can give you fearlessness. Fear, as we were discussing yesterday, I was listening to a lecture by Srivas Sri Hari Prabhu in Abids. He gave a very nice lecture on this particular shloka that we're reading today. He was talking about how fear comes from ownership. When you think you own something, then you want to protect it. You don't want to lose it. So one element of fear stems from ownership. Second element of fear stems from attachment. Ownership and attachment go hand in hand. If somebody or someone belongs to you, then attachment is there to that object or to that person. And the last thing that he said was very striking to me. The third element of fear is thinking that something other than Krishna is more powerful. Something other than Krishna is more powerful. We were talking yesterday, right? How we have to have faith in Krishna that he will always do good by you. There is no way he will give you any burdens that you will not be able to bear. If he sends you difficulties, he will also give you the strength from within to handle those difficulties. So being fearful means you don't have faith in Krishna. Ultimately, we are rejecting Krishna by saying, you are not capable of taking care of me. You don't understand my sufferings. Therefore, I depend on someone else or something else or some other process to hang on to ownership and attachment. So, whenever I talk to devotees who are going through very difficult times, I always tell them, if you want to catch hold of Krishna, you have to let go of everything else. How can you catch hold of Krishna if you're unwilling to let go of anything else? If both your hands are preoccupied with holding on to things that you think are yours, then where are the hands for you to hold on to Krishna's lotus feet? So we have to learn to let go. Only when we let go, you are actually inviting Krishna into your heart. Of course, we've started that process through hearing and chanting, observing Ekadesi, but we have to do a lot more. You have to let go of that sense of ownership and attachment and thinking that someone else or something else is much stronger than Krishna, is much more powerful than Krishna. So unfortunately, as we said, the root cause of our suffering is avidya. It's our ignorance that is blocking Krishna's grace. We're not able to experience Krishna's grace because of our ignorance. And the only way that ignorance can be eradicated is the deeper and deeper you go into scriptures, the deeper you study the scriptures, the deeper you reflect on the discussions that we are having on a daily basis, then you can eliminate fear from your life. You can be completely surrendered to Krishna.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.